In a service garage classified as a Class 1 Division 1 location, there are specific requirements regarding the minimum height for electrical panels and any live parts, such as switches. These requirements are outlined in the National Electrical Code, specifically in Article 511.5d. The NEC mandates a minimum height of 12 feet above the floor for any live parts, including switches or panels, located in Class 1 Division 1 areas. This regulation is in place to mitigate the risk of ignition of flammable vapors that may be present in such environments. Class 1 Division 1 locations are defined as areas where ignitable concentrations of flammable gases, vapors, or liquids can exist under normal operating conditions. These conditions necessitate stringent safety measures to prevent explosions and fires. The 12-foot height requirement for electrical equipment is a key safety precaution. To fully understand the significance of this regulation, it's crucial to grasp the definitions and classifications involved. Firstly, Class 1 locations are those where flammable gases or vapors are or may be present in the air in quantities sufficient to produce explosive or ignitable mixtures. Secondly, Division 1 locations are those where the hazardous concentration exists continuously, intermittently, or periodically under normal operating conditions, or where it exists frequently because of repair or maintenance operations or because of leakage, or where breakdown or faulty operation of equipment or processes might release hazardous concentrations of flammable vapors or gases and might also cause simultaneous failure of electrical equipment. Now let's delve deeper into the rationale behind the 12-foot height requirement. Flammable vapors are typically heavier than air and tend to accumulate near the floor. By elevating electrical equipment and live parts to a height of 12 feet, the likelihood of these parts coming into contact with the potentially explosive atmosphere is significantly reduced. This height effectively places the electrical equipment above the zone where the highest concentration of flammable vapors is expected to accumulate. The NEC specification of 12 feet is not arbitrary. It is based on extensive research and practical experience in hazardous location safety. This height represents a balance between practicality and safety, ensuring that the risk of ignition is minimized without unduly restricting the placement of electrical equipment. It is imperative to consult the most current edition of the NEC for the specific wording and any applicable exceptions to Article 511.5d. Code requirements can change with each edition, and it is the responsibility of the installer and inspector to ensure compliance with the latest standards. In addition to the height requirement, other critical safety measures must be implemented in Class 1 Division 1 locations. These include the use of explosion-proof enclosures for electrical equipment, intrinsically safe systems, and proper grounding and bonding techniques. Explosion-proof enclosures are designed to contain any internal explosion and prevent the ignition of surrounding flammable atmospheres. Intrinsically safe systems limit the electrical energy to levels that are too low to cause ignition even under fault conditions. Proper grounding and bonding ensure that any stray currents are safely diverted to ground, reducing the risk of electrical shock and sparks. Understanding the specific requirements for wiring methods in Class 1 Division 1 locations is also essential. The NEC typically requires the use of rigid metal conduit or other approved wiring methods that provide a high degree of mechanical protection and prevent the escape of sparks or flames. Furthermore, all electrical components used in these locations must be specifically listed and labeled for use in Class 1 Division 1 environments. This listing ensures that the equipment has been tested and certified to meet the stringent safety standards required for these hazardous areas. It is important to note that the requirements for Class 1 Division 2 locations are less stringent than those for Class 1 Division 1. In Class 1 Division 2 locations, flammable vapors are present less frequently or are confined to closed containers or systems. However, even in Class 1 Division 2 locations, appropriate safety measures must be implemented to minimize the risk of ignition. The selection of appropriate electrical equipment and wiring methods should always be based on a thorough hazard assessment and in accordance with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. This assessment should consider the type of flammable substance present, its concentration, and the frequency and duration of its presence. Regular inspections and maintenance are also crucial for ensuring the continued safety of electrical installations in Class 1 Division 1 locations. These inspections should include a visual examination of all electrical equipment, wiring, and enclosures to identify any signs of damage or deterioration. Any deficiencies should be promptly corrected to prevent potential hazards. Furthermore, it is essential to provide adequate training to all personnel who work in or around Class 1 Division 1 locations. This training should cover the specific hazards associated with flammable substances, the proper use of electrical equipment, and emergency procedures in case of a fire or explosion. By implementing these safety measures, the risk of accidents in Class 1 Division 1 service garages can be significantly reduced. Compliance with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards is not only a legal requirement, but also a moral imperative to protect the safety of workers and the public. The 12-foot minimum height requirement for electrical panels and live parts is a critical component of this overall safety strategy. Always consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to ensure that all electrical installations in Class 1 Division 1 locations meet the applicable requirements. This consultation will help to ensure that the installation is safe, compliant, and effective in preventing fires and explosions. In summary, the NEC Article 511.5d mandates a minimum height of 12 feet for electrical panels and live parts in Class 1 Division 1 service garages to mitigate the risk of ignition of flammable vapors. This requirement, combined with other safety measures such as explosion-proof enclosures, intrinsically safe systems, and proper grounding and bonding, is essential for ensuring the safety of these hazardous locations. Continuous adherence to these regulations, regular inspections, and comprehensive training are all vital to prevent accidents and protect lives. Understanding the nuanced differences between Class 1 Division 1 and Class 1 Division 2 locations is paramount for proper hazard assessment and the selection of appropriate electrical equipment and wiring methods. Remember, the goal is to create a safe working environment where the risk of fire or explosion is minimized to the greatest extent possible. Now let's consider some practical examples of how this 12-foot height requirement might be applied in a service garage. Imagine a scenario where a new electrical panel is being installed in a Class 1 Division 1 area of the garage. The installer must ensure that the bottom of the panel is at least 12 feet above the floor. This measurement should be taken from the finished floor surface to the lowest live part within the panel. If the panel contains switches, circuit breakers, or other live components, these parts must also be located at least 12 feet above the floor. Another example might involve the installation of lighting fixtures in a Class 1 Division 1 area. The fixtures must be designed for use in hazardous locations and must be installed in such a way that any live parts are at least 12 feet above the floor. This may require the use of pendant-mounted fixtures or other specialized installation methods. It's also important to consider the potential for obstructions that might reduce the effective height of the electrical equipment. For example, if a storage rack or other object is placed beneath an electrical panel, reducing the clearance to less than 12 feet, this would be a violation of the NEC. In such cases, the obstruction must be removed, or the electrical equipment must be relocated to ensure compliance with the height requirement. Furthermore, it's essential to maintain a clear and unobstructed path to all electrical equipment for access and maintenance. This means that storage of materials or equipment should not be allowed in front of electrical panels or other live parts. The NEC also includes requirements for working space around electrical equipment. This working space must be of sufficient size to allow workers to safely operate and maintain the equipment. The depth and width of the working space depend on the voltage of the equipment and the configuration of the surrounding area. In addition to the height and working space requirements, the NEC also addresses the issue of ventilation in Class 1 Division 1 locations. Proper ventilation is essential for removing flammable vapors and preventing the accumulation of explosive concentrations. The NEC may require the use of mechanical ventilation systems to ensure adequate air circulation. These systems must be designed to operate continuously and must be monitored to ensure that they are functioning properly. Regular maintenance of these ventilation systems is also crucial for maintaining a safe working environment. It's also important to consider the potential for static electricity buildup in Class 1 Division 1 locations. Static electricity can be a source of ignition for flammable vapors, so it's essential to take measures to prevent its accumulation. This may include the use of grounding and bonding techniques to dissipate static charges. In addition, workers should wear clothing made of static dissipative materials and should avoid wearing clothing that can generate static electricity. The use of non-conductive materials should also be minimized in areas where flammable vapors are present. Furthermore, it's crucial to have a comprehensive emergency response plan in place in case of a fire or explosion in a Class 1 Division 1 location. This plan should include procedures for evacuating the area, shutting down electrical equipment, and contacting emergency services. All personnel should be familiar with the emergency response plan and should participate in regular drills to ensure that they are prepared to respond effectively in the event of an emergency. The emergency response plan should also include provisions for first aid and medical assistance. In addition, it's essential to have appropriate fire suppression equipment readily available in Class 1 Division 1 locations. This equipment may include fire extinguishers, fire hoses, and automatic sprinkler systems. The type and quantity of fire suppression equipment should be based on the specific hazards present in a location. Regular inspections and maintenance of the fire suppression equipment are also crucial for ensuring that it is in good working order. Furthermore, it's important to have a system in place for tracking and managing hazardous materials in Class 1 Division 1 locations. This system should include procedures for labeling, storing, and disposing of hazardous materials. All personnel should be trained in the proper handling of hazardous materials and should be aware of the potential risks involved. The system should also include provisions for spill containment and cleanup. It's also important to consider the potential for corrosion in Class 1 Division 1 locations. Flammable vapors can be corrosive to electrical equipment and wiring, so it's essential to select materials that are resistant to corrosion. In addition, regular inspections should be conducted to identify any signs of corrosion, and any corroded components should be replaced promptly. The use of protective coatings or other corrosion-resistant measures may also be necessary. Furthermore, it's crucial to maintain accurate and up-to-date documentation of all electrical installations in Class 1 Division 1 locations. This documentation should include drawings, specifications, and inspection reports. The documentation should be readily available for review by inspectors and other authorized personnel. The documentation should also be updated whenever any changes are made to the electrical installation. It's also important to have a system in place for managing electrical permits in Class 1 Division 1 locations. Any electrical work performed in these locations must be done under a valid permit. The permit process helps to ensure that the work is done safely and in accordance with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. The permit process also provides an opportunity for inspectors to review the plans and specifications for the work and to conduct inspections to ensure compliance. In addition to the NEC, there may be other applicable codes and standards that must be followed in Class 1 Division 1 locations. These may include local building codes, fire codes, and environmental regulations. It's essential to be familiar with all applicable codes and standards and to ensure that all electrical installations comply with these requirements. Furthermore, it's crucial to stay informed about any changes or updates to the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. These codes and standards are constantly evolving to reflect new technologies and best practices. Staying informed about these changes will help to ensure that electrical installations remain safe and compliant. It's also important to participate in ongoing training and education programs to stay up to date on the latest electrical safety practices. These programs can help to improve knowledge and skills and to reduce the risk of electrical accidents. Furthermore, it's crucial to foster a culture of safety in Class 1 Division 1 locations. This means creating an environment where safety is valued and where workers are encouraged to report any potential hazards. It also means providing workers with the resources and support they need to work safely. By fostering a culture of safety, it's possible to create a safer and more productive working environment. In conclusion, the 12-foot minimum height requirement for electrical panels and live parts in Class 1 Division 1 service garages is a critical safety measure that must be strictly enforced. This requirement, combined with other safety measures such as explosion-proof enclosures, intrinsically safe systems, and proper grounding and bonding, is essential for preventing fires and explosions. Continuous adherence to these regulations, regular inspections, comprehensive training, and a strong safety culture are all vital to protecting the safety of workers and the public. Always consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to ensure that all electrical installations in Class 1 Division 1 locations meet the applicable requirements and that all necessary safety measures are in place. Remember that electrical safety is a shared responsibility and that everyone has a role to play in preventing electrical accidents. By working together, it's possible to create a safer and more productive working environment for all.